Okay, for this section we're going to talk about inserting a table rows, merging the cells inside a table rows, and changing the table properties like borders and shading. So here we go. First things first, we want to insert a table. It's actually quite easy to do because it's just like it sounds. We're going to go to Table, we're going to go to Insert, and Table. And when you do that, you can select the number of columns or rows that you want. In this case, we're going to do two columns, 3 rows. And you can also change how the content is actually fitting inside of each of those table cells. In this case, we're going to leave it at fixed, just so I can demonstrate some other things of how it works. So we're going to hit OK. Now we have a table. So now we can put some content in here. So I could put this as title number 1. And over here I could put some random comment. And you can see that this is going to keep everything in my table very organized. Everything on my Word page will be very organized because of the way this table is set up. Now, one of the things we might want to do, let's say we've completed this table, and we have all sorts of information in there, but we want to add a row to the table. We would click right before the word title there. We'd go up to Table, and then we'd say Insert, and we're going to insert a row. Now, we can either insert a row or above, but it's going to depend on where the insertion point is as to whether it'll insert it, or as to where the placement of the row will be. Okay, so you'll see this in a minute. If I hit rows above, it put a row right here. Now, the only reason it put a row right there is because I was clicked right here. So I had an insertion point right at title there. That means wherever this cursor was, above it, you would get a row. Now, it also, if you highlight multiple rows and you say Table, Insert, Rows above, you will get more than one row. In fact, you'll get 3 rows because I highlighted 3 rows. Okay, so keep that in mind if you need to enter new blank rows. This is how you do it. Now, for my example, I'm going to insert one more row. Insert Table, or Table, Insert, Rows above. Now, the next step I want to do, though, is I want this to be my title of my entire table here. And it doesn't really work very well for me to title something over here and try to bump it over there, and it's not centered, and I want it centered. So what I want to do is I'm going to merge these 2 cells. So I highlight the 2 cells, both of them at the same time. I go up to Table, and I say Merge, and now I can merge the 2 cells together. You can see there's no longer this divider bar in there. So now I can make a main title of my table, and I could center it, and if I wanted to, I could adjust the size of it. I could do a lot of different things with that main title. But the important thing to notice is that I merged cells. Okay, so you highlight the cells you want to merge, and you click Merge Cells. Now, all the tables in Microsoft Word are going to operate a little different than they did in Excel, so don't expect to have the same functionality. But you can create really good ordered content by doing some of these little tips that I've just shown you. One of the other things that I want to do before I end this tutorial is I want to show you how to edit the table properties. If you click on the little diagonal box here, and you get that diagonal box by hovering over the table, and you click on it, it will select the entire table. With the entire table selected, if you hit Table, Table Properties, we now get a whole list of different properties we can choose from. In this first tab, we can adjust the word wrap around the table. So if you had this table and it was inset inside of the middle of a bunch of text, you could have the word wrap around the table. I'll show you that in just a minute. One of the other options we can do is borders and shading. Now, the border is going to be what kind of border you want around your table, and if you want every single cell divider to have a border, or if you just want a border around the main table, or if you want none at all. Now, the interesting thing about clicking none at all is that it will look like there is a border still there, but that border is actually grayed out. It actually will not show up when it prints. It's only there for you to see it while you work with your document. I'm going to go back to Table Properties because I want to show you borders and shading, and I'm going to just do a box border, and I want to show you that there's a bunch of different options. We could do little squiggly lines, for instance. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say OK. Now I've got a cool little squiggly line border around my box, my table. Now I'm going to just put some text in. And I want you to notice something. When I shrunk this box down, the cursor is right here, but if I type, it puts it into one of the table cells. And that's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to put some information below it. So I'm going to put some and I'm going to put that this was a list. I'm going to type in some stuff like item 1, item 2, some more information about using tables. Okay, now let's say I want this text to be put up here. It's really easy to do. I again run my mouse over this, click on this button to highlight everything, go to table, table properties, then I'm going to do the text wrapping, and I'm going to say around instead of none. I'm going to say around, and what you'll see is now the text will wrap around my table. That is a very important function. You'll use that all the time when you're working with Microsoft Word. Last thing I wanted to do was talk about the autofit command. If you have a table selected and you go up to table and you click autofit, you can autofit the widths of the table to the contents that are inside of it. So for instance, when I did autofit content, it shrunk this column down to fit with the title 1 there, but it left a bunch more room for the random content about stuff. Now if I make this bigger, you'll see that it proportionally widens it, but if there was a whole bunch of text, it would still push this over to the largest item in this column here. So that's about it. That is tables in Microsoft Word. You'll use this over and over again, and hopefully it helps you.